Imagine for a moment you're walking into your business. Everything seems fine. But behind the scenes, there's a ticking time bomb. One overlooked detail, a vague contract, incomplete responsibilities, or forgotten clauses. And that time bomb goes off, causing costly data leaks, legal trouble, reputational damage, fines, all because of a contract that has been overlooked. The question is, are you doing everything to prevent that? Or are these hidden gaps lurking that could blow up your entire operation? That's why today we're going to look at the, dare I say it, the backbone of your security. Clear, signed employment contracts that define responsibilities. Because if you don't have these in place and verified, your compliance, your reputation, and your business itself could be at serious risk. So what does the standard actually look for? Well, it states that the employment contractual agreements shall state the personnel's and the organization's responsibilities for information security. So why is this important? Well, as ever, let me tell you a story. I knew a client who thought that their employment contracts were good enough. Perhaps they'd used ChatGPT. But during an audit, they got stung. You see, the auditor asked for evidence of clear responsibilities, confidentiality clauses within those contracts, and very importantly, signatures on those contracts. When they couldn't produce it, they faced non-conformity and costly remediation processes. But more importantly, it demonstrated a real lack of understanding around the requirements of employment. You see, when you enter into a professional relationship, an employee, an employer engagement, you need to be very clear about your responsibilities and your expectations of the individuals that you are employing. That's what a contract of employment is. It sets out very clearly what their responsibilities are and what your expectations are. And dare I say it as well, the ramifications of a breach of that contract. You see, if you don't have that written into a contract and they do something that is, in your mind, unacceptable, well, did they sign up to that? Did you agree that? Was that part of the contract? Or was that just an unwritten contract between you? And as we all know, unwritten contracts aren't worth the paper that they're written on. So imagine you're a firm where a key employee inadvertently shared some sensitive information. It could have been prevented if the employment contract explicitly outlined confidentiality, data protection, and intellectual property clauses. Just one signed document could have shielded them from a future data breach. But why does this matter so much? Well, for the reasons I've already stated, this could be a costly breach. It could have a significant impact upon your reputation. And the auditor themselves, they're not just looking for a simple tick in the box and that you have a contract in place. They want to see that you have embedded these responsibilities within your organization and that people understand what their responsibilities are as well. So the auditor is going to be looking for things like job descriptions that have clearly defined security responsibilities in it. And that's going to be different if you are a, let's dare I say, someone who works in the IT function as a developer versus someone who is a team leader and a team manager within that same function. They're going to look for clear clauses on confidentiality and data protection. What are the responsibilities of those individuals? Again, what are your expectations? The auditor is going to want to see what happens if there is a breach of the policies and what your what you've defined as misconduct. Usually there's two levels. So there is misconduct and then there is gross misconduct. What are those two levels? And they're going to want to see that you have signed contracts in place, that those contracts have been signed either before employment or certainly within the first day or two of someone joining your organization. If you can't show them this, or if these clauses are missing, then you're leaving yourself open to non-compliance, non-conformities, but again, legal penalties, risk of reputational damage. If there is a dispute between you and that particular employee, it could lead to expensive legal fees, etc., etc. Now, for anyone who's been through that process or has felt what that process feels and looks like, you'll know why it's so important to have these contracts in place. Now, of course, we're talking here specifically around information security. So when we go into an organization, one of the questions we ask is, can you show us a template? Can you show us the templates of job descriptions and employee contracts and of contractors and of consultants as well? And we want to see that within those contracts, there are clauses that specifically talk about data protection, confidentiality, non-disclosure, ownership of intellectual property, for instance, those kind of things. We would expect to see that. So an action on you, one of the first things that I'm going to suggest is that you go away after watching this video and you have a look at your job descriptions. Do they talk about responsibilities and expectations of your teams in relation to information security, data protection, privacy, confidentiality, non-disclosure, that kind of thing? Go and take a look at your contracts of employment. Does it have that kind of information, that level of detail in there? And if these topics aren't covered, then you need to work with your HR or legal professionals, or buy a reputable employment contract template. There are some really great ones out there, but I would always advise you to seek professional assistance and support from people who understand what's required for your particular sector. And it's important that you make sure that once you've got those contracts in place, that they've been appropriately signed and they are controlled, and that you are maintaining those in line with current laws, because laws change. And if you're at a law firm, for instance, and you have people who work there for 5, 10, 15 years, then perhaps there are changes to their contracts that need to be outlined, specifically when we're talking about new technologies, for instance. Just remember that the auditor may not be looking for or isn't looking for a perfect contract. They're not legal experts. They're not going to look at you from a legalese perspective. What they're looking for is those appropriate controls and clauses within your contracts that give out information about information security and data protection, privacy, intellectual property, confidentiality. Now, I hope that has been helpful. I hope that's been useful. In terms of this particular control, I think quite often these controls are in place for most organizations, but it's always worth checking. If you are confused, if you are unsure about what this control actually requires, please get in touch. We are consultants like us. I'm Gary Hibbard, and I'm here to help you understand what your requirements are around ISO 27001 and other standards. But we provide compliance without complexity, and we help organizations understand how to implement security in a simple, pragmatic, practical way. I hope that's been helpful. If you would like to give this a like, comment, share, don't forget to hit the bell, and that will make sure that you are reminded about updates and new videos. That would be amazing. I'd love to hear your story, and please do share this, because you never know who you're going to help. You'll certainly be helping me. So thank you. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and stay connected. Thank you. Bye bye.